Well, hey, it is a beautiful day to talk about the instant classic that we just got to enjoy Saturday night. Alabama beating Georgia in probably the best game that will happen all college football season, but my favorite game in quite a long time.
Well, I'm glad Alabama won only because you came to work, and I'm glad that happened. What a fantastic game. It was an instant classic. It was a magnificently played game. Give Alabama credit. Alabama beats Georgia almost every time they play. They've changed coaches. Kalen DeBoer looks like the right guy. He did a great job, and that was a great win. But give Georgia credit for not backing down, man. They were down 30-7. Everything was going wrong, and Carson Beck brought them back, and that Georgia toughness and that Georgia athleticism made it one heck of a game. It was a game for the ages. The good thing about all this is when you have two of the clear best teams in the country, maybe the two best teams, one loss isn't tragic. The beauty of a 12-game playoff, and we haven't had that before, is a loss should matter. Regular season should matter, but it should not be tragic. And now it's not. You know, both those teams are going to be in the playoff. They're going to probably play again at least one more time, maybe twice. Two fantastic teams, and what a wonderful game it was. It really was.
Yeah, when you were watching, you could see how electric Bryant-Denny Stadium was. But the one thing that I was feeling all game, I was cautiously optimistic. But Georgia is so good. I knew they were going to fight back. They were this close. They had the lead for 16 seconds. They were this close to beating Alabama.
And Carson Beck's NFL chops really showed up. Look, Jalen Milroe, I never thought he was going to be that good. He's a really good player. He might win the Heisman Trophy. I'm a Heisman Trophy voter, and I got to tell you right now, in my mind, he's very high on the list. But give Carson Beck credit. He looked like an NFL quarterback. Never blinked. They got down. He made some bad throws. He made some mistakes. He never blinked, and he brought them and almost brought them all the way back. That ball in the corner of the end zone, that was anybody's ball, and the Alabama player made the play. But, yeah, it was a fantastic game to watch, and both those teams are going to go deep.
Well, Georgia dropped to number 5. They were number 2 last week. Alabama was number 4 last week. Now they're number 1 in the AP Top 25 poll. The Bulldogs, they travel to Auburn, which is probably going to be a win for Georgia. Let's pivot now to Florida State. They are 1-4. Yeah, 1-4. You know, listen, we told you after week 0, oh, don't worry about it. We told you after week 2, okay, maybe a little bit. Then we told you to worry. Now you really should be just absolutely freaking out because they are just awful.
This is inexplicable. I am sure we were all wrong about this. The Florida State team, I thought they looked a little bit like the last year's team. Quite frankly, what they look like, Alessandra, is last year's team that played Georgia in the bowl game. They look like the team that lost 63-3 to Georgia. I got to tell you, if this Florida State team played Georgia, they might lose 63-3 again. I'm shocked that they're this bad and that there's no answers. I mean, they got rolled by SMU. SMU's a good team, not a great team. They were never in that game. And I am really surprised that it's gone that bad for FSU. You know the story and the narrative now. They built that team through the portal, and this is now evidence that you can't entirely build your team through the portal. I think that's the storyline. I think that's what everybody knows. You cannot build a team through the portal. Mike Norvell's a good coach, but, man, he's got to rebuild that thing. This thing's a mess. Probably Brock Glenn came in, the backup quarterback, played a little. I think you got to play him. DJ Uiagalelei is what he is. He's fine. I think I would give the reins to Brock Glenn. I would take my chances. Look, they got Clemson coming in there. They're a 14-point home underdog. Florida State at Doak Campbell is a 14-point home underdog to a Clemson team that lost by 30 to Georgia. The bottom line is times are tough in Tallahassee for sure.
The saving grace for the Seminoles program is that they were playing the same time that Alabama and Georgia were playing. So really die-hard Florida State fans and SMU fans were watching that game. Everyone else watching the other game. But, I mean, what else can you do? I mean, they kind of feel like the Jaguars right now.
Yeah.
Just you gotta have to give up hope because nothing looks good. There's no bright spots on that roster.
I'd play young players. That's why I would play Brock Glenn. I would play whatever young players you have. The portal guys did what they could. I would play the young players. I'd play guys who want to be Seminoles for a long time. And I'm telling you, Alessandra, I would stay with that. I would play Brock Glenn. And I might even get Luke ready, but I would play Brock Glenn right now and start looking toward the future. They're a 1-4 football team. And look, they got Clemson coming in. They've got to play at Miami. They've got to play at Notre Dame. They got a Friday nighter at Duke who's undefeated. I don't know that they're going to win 3 games this year. It's really a mess right now for the Noles.
And Florida State has to play Florida, who is 2-2, coming off their bye week, and they are playing in-state UCF this week.
Yeah, I don't know. I told you before, I think it's going to be hard for Billy Napier to make it. I just think that. But this is a big one. This is an in-state game. It's a pick-'em game, so it's an even game. UCF's going to come in there ticked off because they just lost at home to Colorado in a game that everybody was paying attention to in the afternoon, and they lost that game. I don't know if Florida can beat UCF. Florida's not very physical. Florida's not very good defensively. UCF can run the football. Florida's not very good against the run. UCF's going to come in there angry. Now, look, it's sold out. That fan base is fantastic. They've sold out every game in the Billy Napier era, but it's a big game. If Billy Napier, I can tell you this, if Billy Napier has any chance to keep the job, got to win this game. You lose this game, I'm not saying he's getting fired right away, but he might not make it through the next off week, the week before Georgia. I'm not saying he keeps his job if he wins this game, but I can tell you this is a referendum. If he loses this game, there's no chance Billy Napier keeps the job. Has to win this one.
That's a lot of pressure if I was Billy Napier. Thankfully, I'm not Billy Napier, but his buyout is so much that I wish I was Billy Napier getting fired, Frank. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching Campus Corner.